Welcome back to The Local Show, a service of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts and Geddes Federal Savings and Loan. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show, locally produced by Zoe Advertising. Now, here are your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Back into it and back at it again. Welcome to The Local Show. Thank you for spending some quality weekend time with us. That's Steve and I from Zoe Advertising. We bring you this little golden nugget of the weekend called The Local Show. And we've had a lot of people support The Local Show, especially, of course, local businesses, as well as consumers. Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts is one of them. And if you haven't heard about what they do, Steve's going to enhance that a little more and give you a scoop.
Earlier this week, Tom, they dropped off a dozen donuts.
Yeah, so we have to be nice to them anyway.
I know that. So they were out and they said, we just want to say thank you, which was nice.
Very nice.
We've been partnered up with them for about 10 years and really watched them grow in the thousands of families that have attended the How to Protect Your Home and Life Savings workshops and people that they've been helping. If you haven't made your plan, if you haven't updated your will, if you don't have a trust to protect your home and life savings, what I learned over the years is trusts aren't for just rich people.
Right.
Trusts are for, if you have a house and you want to keep it and you don't want to give it to the nursing home, put it in a trust. Mm-hmm. But they will answer your questions. They'll walk you through it. And they're amazing. So if you haven't done it, jot this number down, 370-9977, 370-9977. Give them a call.
Yes.
And talk to them. SafeHarborWillsandTrust.com if you just want to go on the website.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. It's our pleasure right now to introduce David Doherty. He is the owner and operator of Mr. Chimney Man. How are you doing there?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on here, guys.
And thank you for being here. I've heard you a couple of times talking to our friends Steve Kanzadian and Sal Shuga and stuff like that. So they speak very highly of you. So you must be good.
I was listening to their show for 15 or so years before I even called Sal and said, I don't hear you guys talk about fireplaces, and he called me and said, when you want to be on, and we met for breakfast. And
that's so great.
Been a great relationship.
Sal is always good for a good breakfast. We ought to do that, Steve. We ought to get together with Sal.
I like that idea.
Yeah, when he's up from Florida. Look, what's your past and professional and background, and are you a Syracuse native?
Always a Syracuse native. I'm one of 8 kids.
8.
Father was a local PGA, still is a local PGA pro, although he's retired.
No.
And in a nursing home. 7 boys, 1 girl.
Wow.
And so we all learned very quickly to fend for ourselves. And so, right out of high school, I got a couple odd jobs. Actually, I was selling cars. Uh-huh. And an opportunity came along to work for a local chimney company that's still in business to this day, and we're great friends. Good. And I worked for 1 year and realized that I could have my own niche, and 32 years later, still doing it.
What side of town did you grow up on?
I actually grew up in Phoenix, New York area, but then through a parental separation, we ended up all over the place. So now I'm in a little village of South Onondaga, New York, where Onondaga Central High School is, and I work right out of my home. I married a wonderful woman there 35 years and 1 week ago.
Excellent.
Who we still live right there in the village.
Yeah, this is where Tom now talks about that he was from the Valley.
I'm from the Valley.
We're going to talk about Green Hills.
Green Hills Farm.
And I'm just going to back away and let you guys go ahead, Tom. I'll wait. Okay.
I've taken that Route 80 corridor right up and through and gone right over near South O and all that. So, yeah, very familiar with your area over there. Well, we won't labor that, right? We won't talk too much.
The listener said amen.
So tell us about your business. Is it that you walk around looking like Dick Van Dyke and hopping from chimney to chimney with a
that's not the way it is now. Actually, it was that way shortly in the 70s. I was not part of that. There were a couple of guys who did the top hat and tails things, but now it's very professional and clean. A lot of chimney sweeping and inspecting is actually done from inside the home. Mine in particular, with my old age and such, I've needed to make sure I get the right equipment to do everything from the inside of the home. My particular niche is more about education. So I do sweeping, inspecting, and education. So if somebody buys a new home that has some kind of a fireplace and they don't really know exactly what it is, I'm the guy that comes in and looks at it, cleans it if it needs to, or services it, and then basically sits there and educates them on everything regarding what's safe and unsafe, what's inefficient and efficient, what to do, what not to do, what their upgrade possibilities could be if they wished. And I even talk about an extremely efficient wood burning method called the upside down fire.
What is a pointing a chimney? Or somebody said, what is that all about? I was here saying, well, that's got to be pointed. I don't even know what that
everybody
means.
says every chimney needs to be pointed.
What does that mean?
It's just replacing mortar between bricks where mortar has fallen out that was previously there.
I'm surprised you knew anything about construction.
I don't. Well, you clearly, that's why I don't know anything.
So there are masonry things like pointing that I still do some minor jobs. Mm-hmm. The very top surface of a chimney is called a crown, and we do some either resurfacing or sealing. We do chimney caps, but I'm getting away from the ladder work, so I'm more the interior guy. I like to say that interior usability, safety, efficiency is one thing, and exterior cosmetic and structural integrity is another, and they usually have nothing to do with each other.
How have chimneys changed throughout the years? So if we're looking at a house that was, say, had a fireplace put in the 70s or the 60s, and now you look at something in the parade of homes with a new fireplace, what will we see different in the chimney?
So since we got off the Mayflower, actually, chimneys were all brick by brick built, and a lot of times they were centrally located, and there were multiple fireplaces all feeding into one big central chimney. There's actually quite a few of those homes in the Casanova, Pompey, Fabius area that are from the late 1700s. There was evolution right around 1900. There became new fireboxes that gave a little more heat. Liners, clay flue liners came out in about 1900, from what I hear, right here in Syracuse. Mm. And then sadly, there was very little or no evolution in the fireplace building all the way through the 50s and 60s and 70s. And then that first oil crisis we had in the 70s brought out all kinds of nasty, inefficient wood stoves, which are still all out there. So I like to say the best thing about those old 70s stoves is they'll never die, and the worst thing about them is they'll never die.
Yeah.
Very inefficient. So
okay. And
now all wood stoves now sold in the retail market have to be EPA certified to be efficient. They're doing a great job with efficiency. A lot of gas fireplaces. Very few masonry open fireplaces are being made. A lot of wood-burning fireplaces are actually factory fireplaces, but then they're finished off with stone or brick or block to look like that.
Sure. What causes chimney fires?
Chimney fires are caused by creosote buildup within a chimney that then gets ignited. And so creosote is the byproduct of inefficient wood combustion is carbon and tars that are sent up a chimney, and as they cool, condensation forms. Condensation grabs those particles and builds up a deposit. Open fireplaces mostly have ash and soot and not creosote. There's a lot of different types and styles of deposits, the worst being tar, creosote.
So how does someone prevent a chimney fire?
As far as I'm concerned, not necessarily by sweeping a chimney, but by not making creosote, number one, and then by not igniting it. So when I go into a house and I see a really nasty kind of deposit, I no longer sweep that chimney and walk away because they're just going to make it again. I educate them on why they made it, how they made it, how not to make it again, and how not to ignite it.
Right. Really quickly, should you only burn wood? Should you never burn anything else?
I tell people every day, no newspaper, no cardboard, no mail, no other wrapping paper, no garbage ever. Get rid of that stuff somewhere else. Use the store-bought fire starters. No flare-ups, no bonfires. If it's an open fireplace, keep it reasonable. And on my website, there's a little 3-minute lesson on what's called the upside-down fire, which is, believe it or not, a method of building a wood fire that doesn't smoke. Very little, if not any smoke.
Good job. Well, that's David Doherty. We're going to have you on again because you have a lot to say, and I think we could talk for a while. David Doherty, owner and operator of Mr. Chimney Man. You have a great rest of the day, okay?
Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right. That's going to wrap up the local show. Steve, you can go off and polish your pumpkins and all that stuff.
Whatever you say.
On behalf of the local show and Tom and Steve, God bless you and your families. Get some physical activity today and every day. Eat well and stay focused on healthy healthy living. The Local Show is heard every Saturday morning from 11 to 1 and then again on Sunday morning from 7 to 9. Listen together with a friend. And until next week, get down to business and keep doing business locally. Tell your friends about The Local Show right here on 570 WSYR, 106.9 FM, and streaming everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.